everyone. I am Reverend Dr. Jeanette Wilson. I am the Senior Advisor to Reverend Jesse Jackson, J-A-N-E-T-T-E, Wilson, W-I-L-S-O-N. We are pleased to join Attorney Ben Crump and one of his clients today. We're going to be looking at one of the issues that really brought Reverend Jackson to Chicago to launch the Northern Initiative for Economic Justice and Economic Empowerment. So today, as we look at this case that has been filed against State Farm, we know that State Farm and many other insurance companies have engaged in redlining by zip code against African Americans. We know that State Farm, like many other majority insurance companies, have failed to open up C-suites to African Americans and other minorities so that they would have that appropriate mobility within the company. We know that State Farm, like many other majority insurance companies, has failed to have the requisite number of African Americans on their board of directors. We know that State Farm, like many other insurance companies, has a problem with making sure that there's diversity in procurement. So we stand with Attorney Ben Crump, one of the leading civil rights lawyers in this nation, on this particular case. But do know that Reverend Jackson and our board chair, Attorney C.K. Hoffman, will be contacting the CEO of State Farm and the chair of the board of State Farm very shortly before Christmas. Thank you very much. And now I want to hear what this is all about from Attorney Benjamin Crump.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jeanette, for allowing us to be in the great headquarters of Rainbow Bush on behalf of the founder, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who really is a stalwart, living embodiment of the resistance to racism. It is appropriate that we are here this morning. I am Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Robert McLaughlin and Attorney Chris O'Neill and Attorney Stephen Hart. We have the privilege of representing Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson, this brave, courageous, highly intelligent, competent Black woman, and what we believe will be a landmark lawsuit against State Farm, because State Farm, your racism is causing harm. This civil rights lawsuit is at the very heart of what we're trying to overcome in America to make sure that all of our citizens have an equal opportunity at achieving the American dream without any impediments here to not only their civil rights, but their constitutional rights. It's unfortunate, but not surprising that a multitude of current and former employees have contacted us since we announced the filing of this lawsuit and corroborated, Attorney McLaughlin, the culture of systematic racism festering in State Farm. State Farm has acted with reckless disregard and indifference to the treatment of African Americans and other minorities, employees and customers, and agents. There exists an abundance of evidence of a culture of racism and career disenfranchisement against African American and minority employees, including Hispanics and Muslims. Dr. Carla is but one of the people who have faced daily implicit bias while racist, outrageous letters and racist wall graffiti calling African American women derogatory terms out of their names, attempting to have a black employee as a real live pig while in the workplace, to demeaning African Americans based on the way they talk. You know, what's so significant about this, and my most dear co-counsel, Attorney McLaughlin, is going to touch on this further in just a few moments, was the scathing indictment issued by the EEOC. In fact, the EEOC investigator informed Dr. Carla that they had collected approximately 100 pieces of documents evidencing a culture of racism and discrimination that exists at State Farm. Again, for clarification, an EEOC investigator informed Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson, the strong black woman who raised this lawsuit, that during the course of their investigation, they had collected approximately 100,000 pieces of evidence here for Michael Childress, Deputy DePage County President, and also present with us and bringing us the pastor of Mount Olive CME Church based out of Memphis, Tennessee. They will make brief comments after Dr. Carla speaks. Then we will take a few of your questions. With my great co-counsel, Attorney McLaughlin, will talk about some of the substance and context of our lawsuit. State Farm, your racism is causing harm.
Thanks, Matt. Again, my name is Robert McLaughlin from the Chicago trial law firm of McLaughlin Eldridge, along with Attorney Ben Crump. We are privileged to represent Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson in her civil rights discrimination and retaliation lawsuit against State Farm. As Ben said, we will provide a copy of the final lawsuit complaint to everyone after the press conference. I want to briefly summarize the highlights that we allege, the facts that we set forth, and the documents that we've copied and attached to our lawsuit complaint, which prove without question that Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson was discriminated against and retaliated against. Starting in approximately 2014, Dr. Carla started to raise concerns and complaints within State Farm that minority employees and customers were being discriminated against. Shortly thereafter, after being at State Farm for more than 20 years, suddenly her reviews started dwindling. She started getting poor marks, poor grades for performance, something she never received before she made complaints. Fast forward 2 years to 2016, and there's a racist letter distributed to all minority State Farm employees, which Dr. Carla received, and she brought this letter and other issues to State Farm's attention. Within a matter of 2 weeks or less, she was retaliated against by being terminated. At that same time, executives from State Farm's Bloomington, Illinois office came to meet with Dr. Carla at her office, and they gave her an agreement for her to sign under strict confidentiality that they would pay her $175,000 if she agreed not to talk about the discrimination she complained of at State Farm. She refused their gag offer. Approximately 2 weeks later, Dr. Carla on her own went to the EEOC and filed a complaint of discrimination. As Ben Crump said, after a years-long investigation by the EEOC, an independent investigator, branch of the United States government, they concluded on their own. This is not Dr. Carla's conclusion. This is not Ben's conclusion. It's not my conclusion. The EEOC concluded that, in fact, Dr. Carla was discriminated against based on her race and retaliated against based on her race. They concluded there was a class of other State Farm employees that were similarly retaliated against and discriminated against based on their race, including African Americans and Muslims. The EEOC, an independent body, recommended that State Farm pay Dr. Carla in compensatory and punitive damages close to $500,000. At that time, Dr. Carla told us she wanted to move forward with her civil lawsuit. Enough is enough. We filed that civil lawsuit last Thursday in the United States District Court in the Western District of Michigan. So we're here today to give you the facts. And again, you get a copy of the lawsuit complaint, which has the critical documents that are not merely allegations, they're facts that no one can dispute. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much, Attorney McLaughlin. It really is profound when you think about it. The EEOC, this federal agency, made these findings after doing a thorough investigation. want to use my voice now that you have terminated me to speak up for those who have no voice. She is a very, very articulate, intelligent, accomplished Black woman who understands what it means to take a stand. And so we just want to say publicly, we know you've endured a lot of trials and tribulations as you came to this point, but we are so thankful to you, Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson, for taking a stand. Because you're taking a stand, other employees are taking a stand, and we're all standing with you. Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson.
First and foremost, I thank God for giving me the courage to take this very bold but needed step. Obviously, I pay homage to my family and to the attorneys, the NAACP, obviously, Brother Jackson, Brother Jeanette, and Operation Push. I started my career as a 19-year-old college student at Drake University as an intern for State Farm Insurance. I excelled at State Farm at every move. So from them telling me that I was too articulate and that I needed to talk like I was from the inner city of St. Louis, well, I am from the inner city of St. Louis, and this is how I talk, to them routinely discriminating against Black and other minoritized employees and customers. As my attorneys have shared, while at State Farm, I earned, obviously, not only my MBA, but I wanted to further impress the company because that was the company that I planned to call my employer of choice. So I then opted to go back and earn my doctorate degree. I earned my CBCU, my CLLE, my AIL, my AIS, my INS, and State Farm, you know what those designations mean. But yet, that was not enough. Even after earning my designations, I received a plethora of excellent grades while enduring the racism and discrimination. I went above and beyond, and I was better than most. The records will show that I earned exceeds, superior, and outstanding ratings until I reported the rampant racism and discrimination against Black employees and customers. It was at that time that State Farm's swift and harsh and brutal hands of racism and retaliation landed upon me like a ton of bricks. On the day when the Vice President of State Farm offered me $175,000 in hush money, I courageously walked away from it. And I know I've had people say, oh, Dr. Carla, I would have taken that money. That's $250,000. No, because racism and discrimination cannot be gone away. News alert to Mr. Jake on the State Farm commercials, to Mr. Patrick Mahone. Based on my experiences, State Farm is not a neighbor to people who look like you and me. Based on my experience, I cried out for assistance. Instead, State Farm met me on a Monday morning at approximately 9 a.m. when they were asking, or so I thought, for my assistance with remedying the issues. am here to tell State Board from a biblical perspective, just like David stood up to Goliath, State Board, I am the David, and I have 5 smooth stones, and I haven't tossed one yet. In conclusion, just as I proudly stood with the Me Too movement, because I get it, I today declare this corporate American racism as the We Too movement. For all of you who have called me, who have texted me, who have reached out to me, I get it. We see you, we hear you, and we feel you. We too have cried in silence for too long. We too have suffered. But now that the EEOC, along with my attorneys, have made a decision to move forward, we too will break the chain of silence. And with that, Mr. Riddle, thank you.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Mr. Bradley Ross Jackson, and I am the president of the first Bloomington NAACP Youth Council. Dr. Carla, you are commended for refusing the almost $250,000 as your actions have advanced the quest for racial justice. Imagine if Dr. King would not have dreamed. Imagine if Rosa Parks would not have sat. Imagine if Reverend Chester Jackson would not have pushed. Imagine if President Barack Obama would not have run for president of the United States. Imagine if Dr. Carla would not have taken a stand against racism in corporate America and elsewhere. Dr. Carla, you made the late Congressman John Lewis proud, and I regret in my mind's eye saying, if you see something that is not right, not fair, and not just, you have a moral obligation, a mission, and a mandate to do your part. And Dr. Carter, you have done your part. Thank you.
And now we're here for Theresa, the Illinois president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. President.
Good morning. It is truly an honor and blessing to be here. And Dr. Carla, you are a strong black woman. You stand on the shoulders of those who have fought before us. The NAACP continues to fight. Are we irrelevant? Yes, we are. We are here today because enough is enough. It is time out for racism in America. It is time for State Farm and other companies to acknowledge the fact that right is right and wrong is wrong. We expect that you do the right thing, not only by Dr. Carla, but all of us. I am a customer of State Farm, and all of us have experienced some form of discrimination. The NAACP continues to fight because think about the wealth. Think about what's happening here in America today. EEOC determined, and it's hard to get EEOC to determine that someone is being discriminated against. So they did the right thing, so I commend them for that today. I also commend the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People for being on the battlefield for over 113 years. I am the state president. I reign in Springfield, Illinois, the home of the 1908 race riots that gives us the strength and the courage and the confidence to stand today. So, Attorney Crump, Dr. Carla, keep on keeping on with trust God and everything that we're doing here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Attorney Crump. My name is Lynn Foster, and I am the president of Bloomington NAACP. You've heard where the state is from. Now you can hear what we've been doing. This is what we do. We support and we morning to everyone. My name is Lori Holton Howard, the second Vice President for the Wilmington North NAACP. Injustice to one is the injustice to all. I commend Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson for her courageous standing up when she saw injustice when no one else was standing. And even though when you make a stand, there's a lot of factors that go in place. You got your family, you have your household, many issues. But at some point, you have to realize that it's really not about you. Even though it's your issue, your concern, it impacts so many people. And by your taking a stand, you have said to the world and to corporations that we're not going to tolerate. As an employer, you can have diversity plans, programs that you have on paper, but in real life, this is what you're seeing is reality. It's facts. It's real life. So we want you to be aware and be held accountable. When you see wrong, it is your responsibility to correct that wrong. It is critical that organizations ensure that all employees and customers are treated fairly. Racism and discrimination will not make it. This pandemic has pulled off the covers for us all the light to shine, to see all the discrimination and racism that has existed. I will repeat and I will close. Stay firm. Your racism is causing harm. Thank you.
Next we have Mr. Mike Childress, who is the deputy page county Childress.
I want to thank you for being here. And I also want to thank the Attorney General for America. I really appreciate being here. I want to let you know, first of all, that the soldiers you see in front of you are not only soldiers, but they're my close and personal friends. And when you come after my close and personal friends, you come after me, and we all stand shoulder to shoulder until the battle is won. That being said, as this company prepares to celebrate its 100 years of great fanfare, we must diligently work for the next 100 years to fight racism, discrimination, and retaliation. Racial harassment and discrimination has no place in any organization in America. Any. Racism and retaliation, discrimination, disgraces the impeccable legacy of our beloved civil rights workers, the John Lewis, the Martin Luther King, the Jesse Jackson of the world, that we stand on their shoulders. Today's press conference has put State Farm on alert and on notice. Fancy and slick ads and creative commercials do not mask racism and discrimination as determined by the EEOC. State Farm, you have to understand that the mask is taken off, and we expect you to do the right thing. Thank you.
And finally, we will have Attorney Robin Lynn make some brief comments.
Hello, my name is Attorney Robin Lynn. I'm an attorney out of St. Louis, Missouri. Carla and I, we've been knowing each other. We grew up in our St. Louis city, and I also am a former State Farm employee. Upon working for State Farm, I quickly noticed the company had no intentions or no interest in diversity, inclusion, or dismantling racism. Before I stand, as I stand before you all today, I want to inform you that Dr. Carla and I have both experienced racism and discrimination firsthand at State Farm. Corporate America cannot allow employees' complaints of racism to fall on the shallow environment. In 2021, the Center for Disease Control, or the CDC, deemed racism a public health crisis. Just as they're developing vaccines and other remedies for COVID-19 and other public health crises, we too must work to rid America from this vicious disease of racism and discrimination. To my beloved America, let's vaccinate ourselves against hatred, retaliation, and discrimination. Thank you.
With the Chicago Sun-Times. Do you suppose Dr. Campbell-Jackson could talk a little bit about some specifics, specific examples? And I think you said it started in 2014, is that right?
And thank you for the question. As state Florida's culture of racism and discrimination has been very prevalent from day one. But as African Americans were taught, go to the Lord in prayer and just work it through. So even though I have always experienced racism and discrimination in state Florida, it culminated in 2014 and 15 when they wanted me to manage an SIP, Special Investigative Department, and I noticed the trend of them routinely and systematically discriminating against people from the inner city. That, coupled with all of the rampant discrimination in the building, everything from them not wanting to hire African Americans to having indicators where African Americans deserve higher ratings, but they refuse to give them that. So that not only impacts them personally, but that also has implications regarding generational wealth.
You said, to add one thing to that, to the question, as indicated, Dr. Carla was terminated in 2016. Within 2 weeks, she filed her charge of discrimination with the EEOC. So under the law, you then have to wait for the EEOC to conclude their investigation. And that give what's called a right to sue letter. Their investigation took several years. That's how thorough they were. So the right to sue was just issued less than 90 days ago, and then that triggered a lawsuit last Thursday.
Dr. Carter, you were in Lee's office the whole time?
Thank you for that question. You know, I am transferred from state board, as I mentioned. I've sacrificed my family, right, just to excel at the organization. At the time that the charges made with the EEOC, I was working in British, Michigan, Portage, Michigan. But I have worked at state board facilities in Bloomington, Illinois, and there too face rampant racism and discrimination.
Sorry, what are you doing now?
Thank you. I prefer not to cover that just yet. I do have some consulting that I do, and it is by the grace of God, it is the strength every day to withstand all the racism that I have endured. Yes, thank you for that question, Attorney. In 2014, I was leading a major project for the organization. So keep in mind, prior to me making a complaint against state board, all of my ratings had been exceeds, exceptional, superior. I was featured in your magazines. I was granted the state board award. I was always in your videos, and we have training videos for claims. I had to document and train associates. In the SIU department, Special Investigative Unit, they had a phrase, and I'm sure Celeste will remember this, entitled Filling the Cups. And their filling the cups entailed finding claims that they could deny so that they would not have to make a policy payment to our customers. And unfortunately, when I was in that department, I began to notice that the overwhelming abundance of the claims being denied were from people from the inner city neighborhoods. I managed to say young black agents looks at this as stinks. That resonates with me even to today, because I believe in equality and justice for everyone. And I am out for this road. My life has always been awesome. I have everything I need. But I have a duty to not remain silent. I have a duty to reject that offer because it's not the right thing to do. Thank you.
I have a question for Dr. Carla. Are there specific employees named in this lawsuit, such as people in management who have decision-making power?
Phenomenal question.
Yes, so we do name specific State Farm employees at high levels who were involved in specific retaliation against Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson. In particular, Mr. Rich Garcia, who coordinated her termination and giving her the proposed self-release and confidentiality agreement, which she rejected.
So, follow-up question is the lawsuit seeking to remove those particular employees or to change a particular policy?
Yeah, it's not about seeking to remove those employees. We can't do that in a civil lawsuit. Certainly, as the EEOC also included, again, that's in our complaint. Their document, their determination is in our complaint. And they said this wasn't a one-off situation. They said this is a pervasive issue. There was racism being fostered within the State Farm office of Dr. Carla.
We're seeking civil remedies that are afforded under Title VII and the 7th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Dr. Carla is an American citizen and she's entitled to her constitutional rights and her civil rights. Thank you. We're going to have Bishop Grant pray for us as we lead to Dr. Carla is a very spiritual woman who's taken on the role to end in prayer.
As you heard today, advocacy for this incredible woman, Rainbow Pusher, Jesse Jackson, the NAACP, and many others, part of fighting this battle. The battle is not ours, it belongs to the Lord. And her courage, and her bravery, and her tenacity under these circumstances will not go unnoticed. We want the nation to know that State Farm racism causes harm. We will not stop until we get justice as to this woman and many others. Our Father God, we thank you now for this fight. We thank you that you have given us the means to fight this fight, the talent and the skill to fight this fight. We don't stand alone. We stand as many but one. And we ask now that you would grant us the grace and the favor to move forward into victory, to bring about justice and righteousness, which is your cause. In Jesus' name we pray.